I'm Bodhi.
I'm River.
And I'm Mara.
And we are here today to talk to you about the relationship between the British Empire and the United States. And at the end of our discussion, we will discuss how modern politics are related to our historical ones. So, as you know, Britain is where we came from. So, we had to fight with them pretty hard.
Britain came over here because they wanted more land. As an empire.
What else do you think they might have wanted here? Like, they wanted more land, and who first came over? You guys have any? It's like, remember those first people? What were they fighting? What were they fleeing from?
They wanted freedom of religion.
Exactly, the Puritans, right?
Yeah. Which it's so ironic because they wanted freedom of religion, but that they forced the Native Americans into Christianity.
Yeah, no, we're crazy, but.
How were they related? What kind of values did they share with Britain, the colonists?
Well, you can discuss.
Well, slavery. We got slavery from Britain.
And our slaves we took. And we released our slaves because they did first as well.
And also food.
Yeah, and clothing and homes and culture. Language. Over the years, our language has stayed pretty much the same, a few tweaks here and there, but for the most part, yeah, very similar.
Yeah, so I think I sort of know this, but these people, why did they decide to storm up and fight the British? What happened? What were the triggers of events?
Because I guess they wanted more.
Was it something to do with money?
Yes.
What?
So you can put in your 2 cents worth.
Okay, so you know the idea of taxation without representation?
I've heard of it, I think.
So you know what taxation is,
Yes.
right?
Certain things in life that are certain. Death and taxes. Well, the British, it came to America, they decided that they wanted to be independent of these terrible taxes that the British Crown was
I
enforcing
think they
on them.
fought. Didn't they fight for money?
Yeah, they fought because they went, no, I don't want to pay any more.
And Britain was still giving them taxes because it was like, the king was like, oh, you're going over here, great, you colonize this land for us, and you...
So I think that's why they had the war.
Yes, and they had the war because the Americans were like, no, we don't want to colonize this land for you, we're doing it for ourselves to get away from you.
Yeah.
So do you remember what it could have felt like? We've read some books for children watching the British soldiers
felt
there.
Very scary.
Why? Why would that be scary?
Well, wouldn't it be scary if your parent was off at war and you, saw them go out and fight and come back, wounded, and didn't one of the boys in one of the books
try to stop his father?
Yeah, and then he ended up fighting in the end because his friend got, wounded.
And can you remember, I remember in the story how the British soldiers felt. They
just wanted to go home.
They wanted to go home, and were they fully into fighting?
No.
They weren't fully into fighting. Can you remember how long the war lasted? It lasted quite a while.
Yeah, 8 years or something?
8 years. It lasted 8 years.
They just were doing it because they were made to.
Right. And so what form of government did they wish they had? What form of government did they wish they had?
Democracy.
But what form of government did
Self-rule.
So what kind of government did they have in England? Tyranny.
Tyranny.
And what is tyranny?
Rule of forceful.
A forceful ruler. So they left.
A forceful ruler that forced them to fight the war, and they didn't want to.
And they wanted to have their own religion. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what kind of implications can you see in terms of today about having empirical? We've got empirical roots. We have a model of an empire. What do you see, Mara?
Well, I see it, the history nerd that I am, relating it back to Rome, which we talked about a couple times.
Yeah.
And how the Roman Empire started out of a Roman republic, run like a democracy, with praetors who were elected democratically through elections. And after a civil war, two strong military leaders fought each other for a long time, creating more war.
It's like slavery.
Yeah. You guys want to talk about slavery?
Do you want to talk about slavery? Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Do you remember who had slavery first? The British. Britain, and who stopped it first? Also
Britain.
Also Britain.
Yeah.
So they were used to having slaves. The British had slaves for a long time.
I don't think we were.
Well, yeah, those people were British. They were British. And so they were used to it. You and I weren't. If we talk about we, or us, we're not used to slavery, are we?
No.
So how do you feel when you read about slavery?
Not very good.
Not very good. But if you grew up with it your whole life, maybe you would feel how? Just regular, right?
Regular.
Just regular.
Used to it.
You would get used to it. So what did they think when they saw the Native Americans, these Britons? They were used to going to take slaves from Africa. What did the British think?
We can take these slaves.
Or we can push them out of the way, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of attitudes do you see nowadays? Are people thinking in this manner at all nowadays in modern politics?
Maybe pushing people out of the way.
Are they?
Yes.
What do you see, Bodhi?
Well, I see relations to Donald Trump because he just wants this land for Americans themselves, but British people, I guess. So it's kind of like a revolution. He's like, he just wants all these neighboring countries to be kicked out because he's like, you don't belong here. We came here first. We deserve to live here by ourselves.
Say that again.
It's kind of like an empire.
We
In what way?